Hello from your friendly neighborhood Chelsea, your friendly neighborhood business consultant. I'm really happy that you are here. And thanks for coming back to hang out on the podcast. If you are a regular listener, thank you for coming back to hang out. If you've been listening since day one, that's wild. It's been years. I'm very happy you're here. And if you're brand new to the pod, also welcome. How did you find us? How did this happen? I always love hearing from you. So if you have answers to any of my questions in the last 30 seconds or throughout the podcast, please feel free to reach out. I'm on Instagram at chelsea.quint, on TikTok at chelseaquint. If you search for my name, you will likely find me in any of the myriad platforms that exist. So let's chat. Let's hang. Today's episode, similar to the one from a couple of weeks ago about the Meta Verified subscription, today's episode is breaking down something that has become really buzzy and trendy in the small business space over the last particularly several months, but really also longer than that. And that is AI, artificial intelligence. Let's face it, AI has come in really hot to the creative world, to the small business world, to many, many worlds beyond that. Those are just the two spaces that I live and play in most of the time, and that this pod lives and plays in. So whether you love AI and are super stoked about it, or you hate AI, or you are completely indifferent or have never thought about it, there's no denying that artificial intelligence platforms and softwares are popping up everywhere. And then hundreds and thousands of gurus or content creators or coaches or consultants are popping up to tell you how you should use AI, or they're promoting specific platforms that you have to start using now. There's a lot of kind of fear-mongering to some extent, and maybe is too harsh of a term, but there's a lot of language coming up around how you have to be using these three platforms, right? If you're not using these AI platforms, you're missing out, you're leaving money on the table, you're wasting hours away, right? There's a lot of messaging around missing out if you're not using AI. And so because I don't approach anything from a guru lens, and I'm never going to give you a one-size-fits-all strategy, I wanted to create this episode where we can name, there's so much noise happening in the AI space, right? Name that is a truth. And I wanted to give you a framework to consider, does AI make sense for your business, for your brand, for your existence? And if so, what kinds of tasks or projects would you like to automate or use artificial intelligence for? Where is AI going to be most useful for you? And then what tools, what platforms, what software should you actually use? So those are the questions that we seek to answer today. I seek to give you a framework, to give you a heads up about how to make the best use of this pod. I do have two different kind of journaling or self-reflection moments throughout the pod. So those might be moments when you want to be able to jot down some notes, answer some questions. This might be one that you save and come back to so you can remember those questions. I also have them in the show notes so that you can reference them with a little bit more ease, hopefully. But there is going to be a bit of a process here because I like giving you something that you can walk away with, something that actually gives you some juice to take action inside of your business. Because, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine the other day, with two friends of mine who I work with, and about podcasts and podcast fatigue. I started talking about podcast fatigue and how I don't tend to listen to a ton of podcasts. I really don't listen to any business podcasts anymore, because most podcasts either sound exactly the same and they're saying the same thing, or they just end up triggering me. They end up either not inspiring me and feeling like kind of a waste of my time, or they end up triggering me because they can create the sense of comparison, right? How many interviews, and this is especially true of bigger podcasts, how many interviews have you listened to where you feel like the kind of questions and the story of listening to this entrepreneur or listening to this small business owner, they kind of repeat the same themes? And at first it's inspiring, but eventually it just feels like this energy of, I've heard this before and I'm not necessarily learning as much, but I might be starting to compare myself or feel like I'm not good enough or wonder why I'm not as far along yet, create imposter syndrome. So at any rate, that ramble aside, I want this to be a space where you're not having imposter syndrome activated. You're not having that feeling of, I've heard the same thing over and over again, though sometimes we do need to hear things more than once. But I want this to be a space where you feel regenerated, you feel nourished, and you feel like you're really taking something away from the episode. So that's why I tell you to have a journal and take notes and all of those things, and why when I'm putting together the shows that I record for you, I think about, how can I give you something? How can I leave you with something that you can really sink your teeth into and that can really ultimately help your business? So with that, let's jump back into the AI conversation, because I do believe that some AI-powered tools or software can really help small business owners, especially those who are earlier in starting their businesses, earlier in their entrepreneurial careers, folks who can't yet afford financially to hire a team or to outsource some elements of business, or maybe you can outsource, but you can't afford to pay people the way that you want to live within your values, right? AI can also be really amazing for teams who are, this kind of overlap here, whether it's because you don't have the funds or because you're simply choosing to be a one-person business. If you're doing all of the things, product delivery, shipping, customer service, tech support, offer development, finances, bookkeeping, taxes, accounting, content development, marketing, if you're doing all of it, AI can certainly be of support. And then also, if you are, whether or not you're doing all of it, if you're a low energy creator, if you are navigating burnout, if you are navigating a particularly challenging time in your life for whatever reason, health, family, friends, burnout, mental health, AI can be an incredibly powerful resource. So I want to help you answer the question of whether you want to use AI tools in your business. And if the answer is yes, I'm not walking in assuming it will be. If the answer is yes, I want to help you find the best tools to support you and make a plan on how to use them and integrate AI into your workflow and into your business so it makes things easier and doesn't do the thing that can sometimes happen when we add new tech or new systems to our businesses, where it can actually, we're trying to make things better, but it actually makes things feel heavier or harder to navigate. So those are the questions I seek to answer. If that's something that sounds interesting to you, keep listening. So first, I want to name some of the cons to AI. I've listed some of the pros. I've listed some of the things that it could be helpful for, or some of the people it could be helpful for. But some of the cons to AI that I feel like are important to mention, because I am not inherently pro AI. I am always going to be tech curious. I have been this way since I was a child. So I am always going to be tech curious. And because my job is helping small business owners live well, work well, have successful businesses inside of a harmful economic system. Capitalism is harmful inherently. One of the core tenets is exploitation of labor and the planet. So I aim to help people exist inside of that system and live well, work well, make enough to live well inside of that. So that means I'm always going to be looking at what tools are available, what new strategies are available, and I want to report that information to you. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'll probably repeat that several times. And that said, if you feel really strongly about AI, I'm open to having a conversation with you. As always, I'm open to having a kind-hearted conversation. Bullying is not tolerated, and that will be met with boundaries. So we're looking at these questions. Cons, though. If we're thinking about this, I am a writer by nature. And so one of the first cons that I think about is that just like a copywriter can't tell your story exactly the way that you would tell your story, or a ghostwriter can't, AI can't tell your story the way that you would. A copywriter or ghostwriter might be able to do a better job because they can hear all of your words and potentially do things that an AI can't. But AI can't tell your stories the way you would because it can't know your brain, at least not the AI that I am talking about right now. You can change the tone. And one of the things, if you are using AI for content creation, you can give better instructions, give clearer instructions to change the tone, but it is still, depending on what type of content you create, what your business is, it might be difficult to get it to sound exactly like you. And so if you are a personal brand, if you are really the face of your brand, there may be some limits to the effectiveness or the utility of AI in the content creation space. Many algorithms are designed to, especially more and more in recent times, look for AI-based language, meaning that you may be ranked more poorly in SEO terms, in social media terms, if you are using AI or relying on AI without checking for that. The controversies, around AI, around copyright, around plagiarism, around does AI steal from artists? Is it stealing from other creatives? That's a consideration from a values perspective and an ethics perspective. AI's information is not always correct, and AI is fallible, just like humans are fallible. So relying entirely on AI to pull information or do research for you or generate ideas for you or do editing for you, there may be some spaces where the AI is incorrect or makes a mistake. And if you're relying too much on it, that could potentially cause harm. That could damage your brand. That could damage your reputation, depending on how you're using the AI. And then the last con is really that I'm really thinking about. There are many more, and again, open a conversation. But what I'm thinking about is that from an energetic or a more metaphysical perspective, does it have the same fingerprint or the same artistic or creative oomph when you didn't make something from scratch? Worth considering. I think no, that an AI-generated piece of writing, I've never had one written that was as good as something I wrote. I do still have uses, and I have used AI tools for my writing. We'll get into that a little bit later. But the kind of spirit or energy behind something that is created might be kind of a downside to AI. That's specifically if we're talking about using AI to create something for you or for your brand. Those are some initial cons. There are many more things. There's so much nuance here, and we're really only going to be able to scratch the surface because I don't want you to have to listen to this in like 2-hour segments. So, because I respect your time more than that. So the question, should you use AI? Some of this is going to come down to your personal preference. I have spoken with people who love AI tools and are so excited about them and can't wait to figure out how to use them and are always looking at the new things. And I've spoken to others who hate the idea of replacing humans or get kind of triggered or turned off by AI. People who don't want to move away from creative practices or artistry. And I've also spoken to people who are just stressed about more change, people who are triggered by involving more tech in their businesses. And side note here, if you think I'm talking about you, I'm talking about multiple people. I have these conversations with a lot of different people. So know that whichever camp you are in inside of this, you're not alone. There are other people in that camp too. And like I said, I'm not here to tell you what to think. All of these are valid opinions, valid feelings, and I really am most excited about the conversational element of this. I felt the same way with Meta Verified. One of the reasons I'm so passionate about business is that, and working with small businesses, is that I believe our businesses and businesses in general are some of the most powerful agents for creating change and impact in our world. To create cultural change, to create societal change, I believe economic change, I believe our businesses are some of the most powerful ways that we can do that. Yes, for ourselves individually, but also collectively, communally. So I love having these conversations, and all of your opinions are valid, and I would love to hear them and listen to them. So I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here to present some information, report some information, throw out some concepts, and ultimately you can decide what's best for you and your business moving forward. To decide whether or not using AI is for you, I want you to start by asking yourself these 4 questions. This is a moment you might want to jot these down or head to the show notes. Question number 1, how do you feel about using AI software, tech, or platforms? Does it align with your values? Number 2, are there moments you regularly find yourself wishing you had a team, had more time, or could remove or delegate a project or task in your business? That was long. I'm going to repeat it. Are there moments you regularly find yourself wishing you had a team, had more time, or could remove or delegate a project in your business? Question 3, are there tasks, projects, or to-dos you always procrastinate, avoid, or completely neglect altogether? And number 4, are there areas of your business where it's hard for you to stay consistent, or maybe where you feel like you're always behind and can't quite stay on top of everything? Those are the 4. So, once you've answered those 4 questions for yourself, you will start to have a sense of whether or not AI is going to make sense for you. Right? If A, you're open to using AI tools, that's question number 1, and it aligns with your values, and B, you are saying yes to any or all of the other questions, AI could be incredibly helpful. But, before we move any further, I need to share this absolutely critical note, which is that adding any new tech, any new platform, any new process to your business is going to have an adjustment period. And learning how to effectively use AI, whatever tools you want, but learning how to effectively use it and train the AI you use is going to take time and energy. Depending too on how tech savvy you are and how easy it is for you to find the right tools that work for you, then learn the new platform, you might have a steep learning curve and need to invest a lot of time, energy, attention into making this work well for you. All of those things, lots of time, steep learning curve, lots of energy, lots of attention, are things that people who are going to be most attracted to and helped by AI don't have a lot of. Let me say that in a less convoluted way. If you're attracted to AI, one of the reasons is because you don't have enough time. So investing a ton more time in learning AI might feel problematic, might feel extra challenging. So I want to name that, and I want you to consider, before you dig in, whether this is just another shiny object you're getting distracted by or using to procrastinate doing other things you need to be doing. Or is it something you're really committed to integrating into your work? Is it something that you are willing to invest time, energy, attention into in order to long-term support yourself and your business? I'm not saying it's going to be hard. I'm not saying it's going to be a nightmare. I just want you to walk in eyes wide open and feel really clear on why you're using this. So, as always, if you want a third party to come in and say, here's the best tool, help you make the most of this and help you integrate it into your work, you can always head to chelseaquint.com/strategy. That's Chelsea, CHELSEA, Quint, QUINT.com/strategy, and you can book a strategy session there. If you use the code podcast, you'll get a listeners only discount on your strategy session. So chelseaquint.com/strategy, and then use the code podcast for a listeners only discount on the session. With that out of the way, let's continue. If you've decided now, yes, I want to explore AI in my business, then I want you to focus on how you can use AI to improve your quality of life, your quality of business. To do that, I'd like you to ask yourself 3 more questions. Question number 1. What are the moments you find yourself wishing you had a team, had more time, or could remove or delegate a project or task in your business? 2. What tasks or projects do you always procrastinate, avoid, or completely neglect altogether? 3. In which areas of your business is it hard for you to stay consistent? Those are the areas that I want you to start looking for AI solutions. Those areas, those projects, those tasks that you mentioned in responding to those questions are the ones where I want you to explore, what if some piece of tech could do this for me? Now, an important note, you might discover it doesn't actually make sense for a piece of tech to do this for me. I do actually want a human to do this. If that's the case, great. We've learned now who a team member that would be important for you to hire, or a strategist or a consultant or a freelance position for you to hire. Whatever it is, you've still learned a way where you want your business to grow. And if you discover that you would like to hire a human, but right now that's not in the budget, maybe you say, okay, what is the AI solution for now so that I can grow my income, support myself to grow my income, increase my revenue in order to hire the human once that is ready, once I'm ready for that. So a reminder, I've touched on some of this, but a reminder around, I'm not objectively right. I'm not an AI expert, right? I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I am someone who is really tech curious and has played around with a lot of different AI platforms over the years, and even more so since they're becoming more popular. And I'm also a great strategist who is good at helping you figure out what solutions you need, whether that's tech or humans or something else. So that said, just a couple of things that AI can be really great for. We mentioned its cons earlier. AI can be great for brainstorming or getting over creative resistance by getting ideas or a first draft on a page so you're not just starting from a blank page. It can be great for automating repeat tasks. It can be great for repurposing content. It can be really great for reducing time-heavy tasks like editing. And I touch on a really awesome platform for that, one of my favorite platforms, in just a minute. Ultimately, there are thousands of AI tools and software products out there, with more and more launching every single day. So it's impossible for me to share all of them with you. And I also want to encourage you to search for tools based on those questions you hopefully answered or that you will go back and answer, because I want you to look for tools that are based on what you and your business specifically need, instead of looking at what some expert on Instagram says is the top 5 tools, or what this girl Chelsea says are the best AI platforms, right? I don't want you to be looking at what someone else is using or what the next guru is saying you should use, because going with what's popular isn't always going to be the most aligned choice for your business. So I want to make sure that you have this internal check-in with, what does my business need? How is IA? Apparently I am switching that now. How is AI going to support my business? What kind of AI support do I want? Just like I'd suggest with any human support. Hiring, we can get shiny object syndrome with saying, oh, a friend of mine hired an operations manager. Maybe I need that. Oh, they hired this kind of consultant. Maybe I need that. I want you always to come back to that internal GPS, that inner knowing, your intuition, because you know your business best. And God, you have to know your business best and make decisions based on that knowing, right? So that's what I want you to do here as well. I'm going to share some suggestions. I'm going to share some platforms I love, as well as a great resource for you to find platforms that you love. And reminder, you can go to chelseaquint.com/strategy if you want to book a session and get into more of the nitty gritty of like, Chelsea, what platform should I use? I've answered those questions. I know the things I want to do. How do I do it? That's awesome. We can absolutely do that. So with all of that said, I'm going to share some suggestions to explore featuring my favorite tools and how I've used them. All of the links will be in the show notes. So if you're wondering how I'm spelling something, what have you, just go to the show notes. The links are in there. Some of them are affiliate links. They won't cost you anything, but I get perks for sharing them. But that said, I will never share anything that isn't something I actually love and use. So the first tool I want to tell you about is an AI aggregator. It's less of a tool to use in your business. This is more once you go through the first 4 questions, the second 3 questions, and have a sense of what you want to look for, I want you to go to this AI aggregator that helps you find and research AI software. So it's called There's an AI for That. The link will be in the show notes. And this is your quickest way to find the right tools for you. I want to remind you that without talking directly to you and understanding your needs, your wants, your business, I can't suggest the best tools for you right now. So I want you to look at There's an AI for That. Type in the tools that you are looking for based on going through your process and understanding your business needs. Then start playing around with tools. Maybe you use some free trials. And remember to always go back to this question of, is this a shiny object? Am I committing to using this? Because I don't want you to sign up for a bunch of free trials of different AI platforms and never use them, or not be going in strategically and thinking about, how am I going to leverage this thing? Or how do I think I might leverage this thing in order to grow my business or take this task off my plate or automate this thing that I hate doing every week? So that's how I want you to go into it. just because it's going to make it easier for you. Like, I'm not trying to control your life. I just don't want you to end up with a bunch of free trials to tech that you feel overwhelmed by, because this entire point is to leave you feeling more spacious, more free, less overwhelmed. Okay. You're smart and brilliant and wonderful. You get the gist. I just don't want you to have AI make your life worse. All right. So the biggest thing that I love using AI for is content creation and repurposing. So pretty much all of the tools that I have used AI for are around content creation and repurposing. So if you have played in the AI space, you've likely heard of ChatGPT. This is kind of one of the first ones, and it's kind of the AI writing basic platform. There is, at least as I am recording this, a free version of it as well as a paid version of it if you want access to it all the time. And you essentially go in, type a request for what you want, and it creates something. You can copy information in there. You can paste information in there and give it information and ask it to create additional pieces of content. So it's a very, very simple interface, but it's a great place to start playing. If you want to try something free, try the free version of it and experiment with using AI and see how you feel about it, as well as hone your skills at getting better at understanding how to use AI to get the result you want. The second tech that I have used is called writer.com. And similar to ChatGPT, it's another writing-based AI, but this one has a lot more. It's designed for marketers. So it has a lot more robust templates. It is much prettier to use. The paid version is about the same price as the paid version of ChatGPT. And it is much more robust overall. It can better match your tone. It automatically checks for plagiarism. And you can actually create a style guide in there that the AI will learn and will imitate. So if you go in and say, hey, write a blog post about this topic, highlighting these five key points, it will match your style guide. So that's a really cool way to make sure you're still sounding like you and you are using the particular words you would use or avoiding particular words. There's a diversity and inclusion section where you can set the language and the words and the pronouns you would prefer to use. So there's a lot more functionality to weave something like writer.com into your content creation. I've loved playing with Writer. It's been really fun. You can also, on Writer, upload a longer video piece of content. There are limits to how long it can be, but you can upload a video piece of content. Like I could upload this podcast I record with video as well as audio. I could upload this and have it pull out key takeaways. So sometimes I'll use that for show notes, or I will use it for creating quotes or smaller pieces like content ideas for something I want to talk about on Instagram. Next up, we've got Notion's AI platform. If you have ever worked with me, you've likely heard me talk about Notion or seen I create all of my clients' dashboards and project management inside of Notion. I am a huge fan. It's where I take notes. It's where I have my template for my weekly planning structure. It's where I house all of my content ideas. It's where I write the scripts for all of my podcasts. It is my one-stop shop. And so when they added AI, I was really, really excited about it. So I love Notion's AI primarily because it's already integrated. It's native to a platform that I already use a lot. So if you want a space where you can have a to-do list and take notes and write pieces and organize articles you want to read that also has an AI component, Notion and Notion's AI could be really great. They give you, I believe, up to 20 free credits, free requests, and then it's a paid $10 a month for access to the AI feature on Notion is the current pricing model that they have as I am recording this. So I've found Notion's AI is set up to do a lot of different things like summarize notes, pull out to-dos from a list of a brainstorm you've written or a list of copy that you've written, summarize documents, generate ideas, create a brainstorm. I have found Notion's AI takes direction less well than Writer or even ChatGPT sometimes. That could be earlier phases, but I love Notion's AI because it's integrated, and so then I can also use it when I'm taking notes in a client session or in a meeting. I can then just say, hey, Notion, pull out all of the action items for me, and it creates a to-do list for me that is something that, or a to-do list for my client, then I can email that over or make sure it feels clear for everyone. So that is a fun and very useful element of the Notion AI because I already use my client notes in there. Okay. Another very exciting one that I only started playing with recently is Flick Social. Flick is a platform I've used for housing, drafting, and organizing Instagram and other social media content over the years. They are kind of a competitor to Planoly or something like that, where you can schedule your posts, write your posts, share your images, all of that happens inside of this app. But they have now started, they have let's see, what did they call it? An AI content hub, a content lab that features AI social assistant. And the 3 buckets that they have listed are brainstorm ideas to generate creative post ideas. And this is one of my favorites because it walks you through a really, really beautiful, streamlined process where, let's say you want to brainstorm ideas. It says, enter a topic or content theme, and you just type in your theme. Then it brainstorms a ton of different broad categories. You choose the ones you're interested in that feel resonant to you. Then it gives you 3 to 5 different content ideas per each of those topics that you can then tweak. Or you could then take it, add it into the Your Ideas work in progress database that exists inside of Flick, and then select it and tell Flick to generate captions. When you go to the caption place, you can have it generate captions for Instagram. You can have it generate a carousel. You can have it include a list, an anecdote, a quote, a fact, a call to action. You can choose the writing style you want. You can choose, do you want it in first person, second person, or written in third person? So there are a lot of different functionalities. And then you can tell it to adjust tone, make it longer, shorter. It's a really, really exciting platform. Then you can add it to your scheduler if you want to schedule it to the Instagram post, schedule it to Instagram, schedule it to TikTok, etc. All of that you can do in this one platform. Flick is a little more expensive, I think, than a Planoly, but especially with them adding AI, I think it is incredibly, incredibly worth exploring because you could also you could have it create a carousel for you, like create all of the text on a carousel post for you. You can have it create a 30-second video script, a Twitter thread. Then from there, you can also have it go and repurpose content. So you can turn a blog post you've written or an email you've written into social media content. I'm a big fan of Flick. I'm a big fan of all of the platforms I'm sharing because I don't share things I'm not a fan of. That's a great platform. Huge fan. I love it. Would recommend checking it out. Video.ai is another one that I am a big fan of. It still requires a little bit of labor for me, but if you are someone who creates longer content and would love to be able to repurpose it and then create shorter content, I think this would be great for you. So especially if you're someone whose work has a lot of nuance or you're a long-winded rambler like me, or you find it easier to record long podcasts or have long conversations with clients, any of those things, video.ai could be awesome, because what this will do is allow you to upload long form video content, video only, and then decide what size you want it. Do you want it for Instagram stories, for Reels, for TikToks, for YouTube? Decide the size, choose a template. The templates are fairly limited in terms of what they look like visually, so that might bother you if you're really specific about your brand aesthetic and visuals. But it will then take that content, your long video, like this podcast for me, and turn it into other clips that you can use across social media platforms. So you could take a YouTube video or record a podcast with video and then turn it into many pieces of content to use across your other platforms. And it takes a matter of minutes. All you do is upload the video, choose the size, choose the templates you like, and then you go back in and you can edit them and tweak them to make sure you really like them with some limited functionality there. But it's a really cool platform. They have a free version for, I think, up to 75 minutes of content per month. So you could upload up to an hour and 15 minutes of content per month and have it turned into multiple clips. So very cool concept. I'm a big fan of that one. Reminder, if you're feeling overwhelmed, all of these are listed for you to check out in the show notes. The last one, I saved one of my favorites for last. This is the platform I am currently using to record right now. Descript is probably my most used tech behind Notion or Zoom, and it is a platform I have been using for years. Like I said, I am recording this podcast right now using Descript, and I'm obsessed with it for a variety of reasons. I'll tell you a few of them. Jeez. The first is that Descript automatically transcribes anytime you're recording. So right now, as I am recording, I can see the transcript going through, so I can make sure I'm hitting all of my points. I can see the transcript being, the words being transcribed as I am speaking. Then, even cooler, I can download that file to upload onto YouTube for captions. Even cooler than that. So I can make sure to have captions easily on all of my videos. My absolute favorite part is that I can then, using the transcript, edit my podcast or my videos by editing the text. So what the heck does that mean? That means that normally when you have to edit a podcast, right, or a video, you have to listen to the audio. You have to go in and slice and dice the audio, find the exact right moment, zoom in so you're not cutting some other sound that you need, change the levels. Same goes with video, right? You have to scrub through the entire video. It's just a more cumbersome process. With Descript, you are able to edit the transcript and it edits the audio. So let's say I just said the word rutabaga. I can see right now in my transcript that the word rutabaga showed up. When I edit, if I would like, I can go back in, highlight the text that says, so let's say I just said the word rutabaga. I can highlight all of that, press the delete button, highlight the words, and it will automatically delete that section of audio and video. So it makes the editing process so much quicker. It also uses AI to find filler words like and ah, and can automatically, with one press of a button, delete those. It also has a feature called Studio Sound, where you can record using quote unquote studio sound, where they use AI to improve the quality of your voice so that it sounds like it's filmed/recorded in a studio. And it deadens background noise. So as someone living in NYC who has a very chatty dog and chatty cats, I love that I can turn on studio sound, and then they use AI to make my podcasts or my guided meditations or the rituals I record for Regulation Rituals sound much more like they're recorded in a quiet studio. Sometimes Margot likes to scream really loud very close by, and AI does its best, but it makes it sound so much better for the people listening. And I love being able to deliver a more quality audio and video product. So I'm obsessed with the script. I'm obsessed with all of the tools that I shared. And if you walked through the questions and feel like playing with AI is something that will be useful for you, I hope you'll check some of these out. If you have questions on any of this, AI in general, uses for AI, I would love to chat with you. You can either book a strategy session, chelseaquint.com/strategy, or send me a message on Instagram at chelsea.quint. We can chat things out and see if AI is a fit for you, see if a strategy session is a fit, if things get a little bit more involved. And above all, your friendly neighborhood Chelsea, your friendly neighborhood small business consultant, hopes that this was helpful for you and felt like a good use of your time, your energy, and your attention. If it did, it would mean the world for me for you to follow if you are not following already. Then go ahead and share this with someone who you know would also benefit from this, or someone who you'd love to invite into the AI conversation. With that, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you, and I will talk to you in the next episode.